So, the morning, some of the points we repeat. If non-attachment results from being objectless, consciousness can never be unattached. If non-attachment results from being objectless, consciousness can never be unattached. For there exist objects such as the teacher, the scripture, and the disciple. For that, he gave the answer, which exists by virtue of being an imagined empirical view. He says, which exists by virtue of being an imagined empirical view. He says, because of imagined, and again says it is only empirical. Imagination itself is sufficient, but again he uses another adjective, empirical. Empirical view. So, we can say the delusion because of the illusion. That is, he is imagined and that imagination is not there. So does not exist in reality. Again, that which exists on the basis of empirical view brought about by other schools of thought does not really exist. So the empirical views that are brought by other schools, he says. Now, he is putting a question. Of course, a question should not be there like that, because if you say nothing is there, it becomes only void. So, in case the scripture, etc., are deemed to be based on empirical experience only, if you say the scriptures and the teacher and the disciple, these are only imaginary, the very idea that something is unborn too shall be empirical. That means it is only an imaginary thing, no Atma, no Brahman, no scriptures. When you say, I say no Brahman, no Atma. That is the question. Then he says, inasmuch as the soul, according to the conclusions arrived at by other schools of thought, right? Inasmuch as the souls, according to the conclusions arrived at by other schools of thought, he says, the conclusions arrived at by other schools of thought takes birth from a fancied empirical view. Again he says, empirical view itself is sufficient, and again he said another adjective, fancied. It is said in consistence with that empirical point of view that the soul is unborn, because you say that birth is there, we say birth is not there. That's all. But from the point of view of supreme reality, it is not even unborn. It is there. But we can say it is aja. Then, because the objects are non-existent, therefore, there is a mere fascination for unreal things. Though there exists no duality, having realized the absence of duality, one is not born again for want of cause. Want of ignorance. Cause is the ignorance or delusion or illusion, whatever you may call. So, it says, that is, the commentator says, intensity of desire for false objects. Desire and intensified desire. That is the cause for ignorance. Again he says, when there are no causes, superior, inferior or medium, from the relative standpoint of view, he has given these distinctions. That is, the inferior one who does only vice, that is bad deeds. So he will be animal or demon, one of the things, inferior. And medium, sometimes doing good and sometimes doing bad, becomes a human being. And then superior, only doing good, he becomes the god, Deva. So, it says, when there are no causes, that means no virtue or vice, no virtue, no vice. Three things. Then consciousness does not take birth. How can there be any result when the cause is absent? Cause is ignorance. Because of the ignorance, somebody is doing vice, somebody is doing virtue, somebody is doing both. So when the cause is not there, there will be no effect. But he says, any result when the cause is absent, that means duality is not there. But the question he asked, that is defined when you say the teacher and the Shastras and the disciple are unreal, imaginary, then the consciousness also is imaginary. Then he says, because of the views of the dualist, we told that the absolute consciousness is aja. That is, it is not taking birth. But in reality, it is not taking birth. In reality, it is there. But it is, we cannot say it is aja, naja. Whether it is taking birth or whether it is not taking birth, we cannot say. We are telling it is not taking birth, taking the view of undiscriminating persons. That's all. Taking the view of undiscriminating persons, all the dualists, all the opponents. Now, he is going to explain this thing. You can see page 523, the English version. The dharmas enjoined with regard to caste, jati, stages of life, ashramas, and followed by men who are free from the desire for the fruits thereof. So, he says, varnashrama dharma. What Sri Krishna says? Varnashrama dharma. So that he is mentioning here. But there he said that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. What Krishna says? It is Nishkama Karma Yoga. But here he says simply one word, free from desire for the fruits thereof. If they are doing the rites enjoined by the scriptures without hankering for the fruits, that is to say, dharmas which are instrumental in the attainment of devahood, godhood, and the like, are the greatest causes considered to be absolutely virtuous. So, those who are having 100% virtues, they become gods. All this Surya, Chandra, Vayu. But at the same time, they are not released. Okay? Having 100% virtues, you have become the God, and you are called vital force, you are called sun god, you are called moon god. You are helping the world so much, serving the world so much, and at the same time, they say you are not released. And what is this? They say they are having the power to control the world, but at the same time, they are having the fear of the demons. They will come and they will attack us, we will lose our position. There are many serials in India, Devanka, Dev Mahadev, Bajranga Bali, so many things. So every time Indra is so much afraid because of these demons. And that Indra is the king of all the gods. So, what we infer? Though they are completely virtuous, though they are gods, still because they are having fear, they are not released. But for a man of realization, he says fearlessness. Abhayam vai prapto siye janaka. In 16th chapter, in the very beginning, for an aspirant, Sri Krishna says, Abhayam sattva samsuddhi jnana yoga vyavastitihi. So, man of realization is having the fearlessness. And a good aspirant should possess those qualities. But still, here we say the gods are not completely released because of the fear.
If to be born as a man is better than to be born as a deva,
Agreed?
should we strive not to do only good actions?
See, they are having a desire to enjoy the happiness. Who? Gods. So, they do virtues, only virtuous deeds. But you want to go beyond them. That if they are having births and deaths again and again. I told you, in one day of Brahma, 14 Indras are taking birth. So if you want like them, you do only virtues. But here we are doing virtues without hankering for the fruits, so that again we may not have birth and death cycle. So, that does not mean because they are coming again, that we should not do virtues. If somebody is doing something wrong, seeing him, I am also doing wrong. Is it the logic? It is not the logic. So, we are doing virtues, but not hankering for fruits. That releases us. But they are not released. That's why I have started. Though you get the godhood, they are having fear. They are not realized. So, but what is a human being? Because they did in the past virtue and vice, they now are having, but here every possibility is there to get realization. There it is not so. In Kathopanishad that sloka comes, I forgot that sloka. Huh? In Brahmaloka it is just like Chaya tapayor Brahmaloke. Huh? If you just press Chaya tapayor Brahmaloke, you will get. He says, in Brahmaloka, you can distinguish the Atman and the inner things as the light and darkness, or the shade and light. But for all the gods, it is just like a reflection in the water. The reflection in the water is not clear. But here, in a human being, the reflection is clear. Yatha darshaha, as you see in the mirror. So he says, it is very easy to realize as a human being. If you go to Brahmaloka, how many years you have to stay there? So, though you can distinguish between the self and non-self in Brahmaloka, it is not encouraged. In the same way, getting the Godhood is also not encouraged. Then, if you are having a human birth, here you should have complete discrimination and dispassion and do all your duties without hankering for fruits, then mind is purified, then only you can progress. So, because devas are not getting realization, so we should not do good virtues. There is no logic. Chaya tapiyoriva brahmaloke. Those dharmas which are mixed partly with vices, which lead to the birth among men and the like, are causes that are medium. You say this is medium birth. Because if only something remains for Jadabarta, for Vamdeva, so many are there. Only little obstruction. Yatha darshe tadatmani, as we see in the mirror, so we see here in this world. Pitriloke Swarga, so as you see in the dream, so in the world of mains. Yatha, that is as we see in the water, the reflection. Chaya tapir Brahmaloke. So, in Brahmaloka, Chaya or Atapa, that is the shade and the light. And in the Gandharvaloka, it is as we see in the water. And in the world of mains, what he has given? Swapne, as you see. In the dream, and so in the world of mains. But here, means Pitara, forefathers. So here only you see clearly as you see in the mirror. So which you will select to distinguish between the consciousness and matter? Naturally, because it is clear here and it is very easy. The span also is very less. Hmm? Only 30, 40 years at best we can do some sadhana. And in other places, span of life is more. But it is not clear. Even in Brahmaloka and even in the world of means, even in the heaven, only happiness and happiness. So, no sorrow, no kicks. So, you will not realize. Hmm.
Says birth among men and the like. What is the like?
Like the subcommentator says, like the cow.
Animals.
But the cow is considered to be, in the cow, all the gods are supposed to live. So he says, but that you see, here I wrote, but I cut off the cow because I don't want to tell. Anyhow. That what subcommentator gives. The dharmas which are mixed partly with vices and which lead to birth among men and the like are causes that medium. Men and the like. The inferior causes consists of those particular tendencies along that are vicious and that lead to birth among animals. Having realized the reality of the self, which is one without a second and devoid of all imaginations, one does not see those causes, superior, medium, and inferior, which are imagined through ignorance, just as a man of discrimination does not see the dirt in the sky, which is seen there by children. See the illustration he gives. Those who are ignorant, they only see the vice and virtues. So, men of discrimination, he says, as they see the clear sky without any dirt, so they see, but not like children, those who see the blueness in the sky. So, for all the ignorant people, he says, children. So too then consciousness is not created in the form of gods. Again you see, though he told that by only virtues they will be going to the heaven as gods, but still he says, so too then consciousness is not created in the form of gods and the rest that represent the superior, medium and inferior results, for no effect is produced when there is no cause. So if ignorance is not there, then no birth. As no corn can grow when there are no seeds at all. So, he says, here you see, one thing we have to note. While teaching Brihadaranyaka, he told, he says, he discriminates between the karma, actions and knowledge. That it is karma kanda and it is jnana kanda. And what is the highest result in the karma kanda? That he says, Aswamedha Yaga. He gives the highest results. Where he goes to Brahmaloka. Then he will be staying there, enjoying all the happiness there. But those who go there to enjoy only the happiness, they will come back. But those who are striving hard to realize the Atman here itself, if something goes wrong, yoga bhrashta, then as a punishment they are sent to Brahmaloka. You see. So, here in Brihadaranyaka, he has given the distinction between the karma and jnana. So, if you want to be the aspirant of Vedanta or a student of Vedanta, both he puts, you have to give up the happiness of that Brahmaloka also. He says rather kick it off, the happiness of the Brahmaloka. Then only you will become the student of Vedanta. That means completely giving up of actions and their results. So, he says, this is the connection between the Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. What is the connection? Giving up the highest results which you get through karma. Then, of course, in between, upasana is there. That is just for purification. So, even Sravana Marana Nidhyasana is called also upasana. When you continuously you do, then it purifies your mind. Hetva bhave chittam nopapadyate iti uktam. He says, when the cause is not there, like ignorance, illusion, then the consciousness will not take birth. When the ignorance is not there, then it will not take birth. Sa punar utpattis chittasya kidrusham. Then again he says, that consciousness, how it is taking birth, that is the question. It has been said that consciousness is not created when there is no cause. Of what nature is the birthlessness of consciousness? That means birth is there. Again he says, what is the nature of birthlessness? Just now we told, no aja, we cannot tell that birth is there. Huh?
523 క్లాసులో సా పునరనుత్పత్తి ఉంది కదా, దాన్ని సా చేయాలి.
अच्छा
సా పునర్ ఫెమినైన్.
Swami ji would like to tell some story. Because I think Ishwari is not attentive. Huh? You are very attentive. All right. We will boost some more attentiveness. Just for a change, for a relaxation, the subject is not having any connection. But we can say how the ignorance is. How the ignorance are what happened? Huh? What the illusion is like, this just I wanted to tell. There was a teacher, he was having 7 disciples. Because of some curse, they have become the disciples, but all are mentally challenged. Nobody is happy.
Nobody is normal.
Nobody is normal, mentally challenged. All are. All madcaps. But, no, here I am telling about the illusion, not the disciples. You should mark. So, the Guru is very great.
What is the name of the Guru?
Don't ask. That is your name, Paramananda. His Guru's name is, that's why I don't want to tell.
Guru is very great.
Why the Guru is very great? Because he knows, you see, nobody will take care of these 7 disciples. So let them be with me. All right. And everybody is having his own subject. One fellow wants to learn Vyakarna, another Nyaya, another Mimamsa, another Sankhya, another Yoga, another music, and another something else. So all the 7. So every day it takes the lessons, but nobody is progressing. Nobody is progressing. Then some function was there. So the master asked all the disciples, you see, you have to color our house because some function is going to be held. So one fellow is learning logic. So he brought a nail, and he has hold like this. Not the pointed side should be towards the house, but he has hold. And he says, you see, if you put the nail, the head is not going this side. So we have to take the nail that side. And what finally decided, we have to paint that house, not this house, not our house. First mistake. All right. Now, again, that something was remaining. After painting, some paint was remaining. So how do you utilize that? So they have decided, all the 7. You see, all the guests will be coming. We have to honor the guests. So our Guruji too, we have to paint the house. That is, we are honoring the guests. So the remaining we can paste to the guests, all the guests. 7 are there. 7 are there. First 2 will be standing that side, and this is the way. So as soon as he enters, another 2 are there, they will just remove the clothes. Only something small is there. And another 2 will be holding, and the fat man will be just painting. So like that, it is just fun. All right. Somehow, because you see, the master is great, he said, all right, something happened, we will teach them. And again, he started lesson in the evening. He started teaching lesson for them in the evening. Nobody was progressing. Only after 1 year, everybody was in the first lesson only. Then he got angry little. You fellows, you go and die. Not at all learning anything. He scolded the disciples. So what they do? And function is there. So to greet the guests, that the Guruji's wife was preparing some sweets. Very good sweets she is preparing. This fellow saw. and went and asked Guruji's wife, what you are preparing? Oh, this is poison, get away. She thought, if I tell these are sweets, these fellows will eat away. So she told it is poison. Huh? Now Guruji told you go and die. So these fellows have taken away all these sweets. And simply lying down in the room. Then one fellow says, you see, we have taken the poison, we are died, now we have reached heaven. The other fellow asks, how you are telling that we have reached heaven? So by the time some of the guests, because the function is there, they have decorated nicely and they have come to this particular room. You see, Ramba is coming. Urvashi is coming. The damsels are coming. And that particular guest was so much afraid. Arey, what is this? All these fellows are telling I am the damsel. She just went and told the Guruji's wife, see, these all were disciples, they are telling like this. I thought they have finished. I told them, it is poison. Now they are thinking, we have taken, we have died. So we have reached heaven. And then she brings a big stick, nicely beats her. All the sweets you have consumed. So that is already illusion. And in the illusion, another illusion. They have eaten away the sweets and they say we have reached heaven. So just I wanted to... So, when the illusion is not there, he realizes that what he has told. So this is something illusion. Don't pay much attention to that. It has been said that consciousness is not created when there is no cause. Of what nature is that birthlessness of consciousness? This is being explained. The consciousness does not take birth. Animittasya. Animittasya chittasya ya anutpatti samadvaya ajatasyeva sarvasya chitta drishyam hi tadyataha. The birthlessness of consciousness, which is free from causes, is constant and absolute. Now he says, the birthlessness of consciousness, which is free from causes, is constant and absolute. It is always there, and it is absolute. For all this duality and birth was an object of perception to it which had been unborn. Again he says, ajatasyeva sarvasya chittadrishyam hi tadyataha. It has not taken birth. But he says, for all this duality and birth was an object of perception. What is duality? Is an object of perception. To it, which had been unborn. To it means that consciousness. So, the birthlessness is as a witness seen by the consciousness. Or it is unreal, it is illusion. The consciousness which is eternal, having no reason for birth, never takes birth. It is without qualities and non-dual. For this a reason is given. ajatasya. That is, ajatasyeva sarvasya chittadrishyam hi tadyataha. That is only, there should be a seer, even for the birthlessness or the birth. That it is only consciousness, he says. How? The whole duality is only consciousness. So, duality is illusion. Where is duality? It is in consciousness only. But the duality is illusion. The consciousness, which is eternal and whole, cannot have birth. So, the definition given to that consciousness, it is nitya, ananta, aja. All these things are correct, he says. What is told is translated, and with a desire to explain, he starts explaining the sloka. Hetva bhave. Now he says, it has been said that consciousness is not created when there is no cause. When there is no cause. Of what nature is that birthlessness of the consciousness? This is being explained. When you say there is no cause, it is not taking birth. Then what nature is that birthlessness? That means he is asking where there should not be, he should not ask this question. What is the nature of birthlessness? That means he wanted to know about the consciousness which is not having birth. For that, he says, the birthlessness of consciousness which is free from cause is constant and absolute. These are the two adjectives he has given. He says the adjectives are apt. It is correct. It is logical. Why? For all this duality was an object of perception to it, to the consciousness, which has been unborn. Again he says, it has not taken birth. But for that, because of the illusion, there is duality. And who sees that duality? Only the consciousness. So, the perceiver and the perceived in the relative plane is only consciousness. Then how it has become the perceiver? Because of the illusion, because of the superimposition, because of the mind, we say it is the perceiver. So, perceiver and perceived is there in the relative plane. It is not there in the absolute plane. This much we should understand. Now, if other says, the birthlessness called emancipation that comes to consciousness, that is devoid of cause. When ignorance is not there, it becomes birthlessness. Or we say emancipation, he has realized, and that has become liberated from the causes of birth, consisting in virtue or vice. So, when the ignorance is not there, no virtue, no vice. So, in the commentary, Lord Shankaracharya says, the virtues are also bondage for a man who wants to liberate, want liberation. How? The virtues are gold chains. The vices are iron chains. That he says. So, here he says, man is liberated means no virtue, no vice, no ignorance, no delusion, no illusion. What is there, that is there. Consequent on the perception of supreme truth, the constant and without distinction, What are the adjectives that are given to the consciousness? It is constant, it is eternal, without distinction, always under all conditions. It is in all conditions, it is partless, no distinction in it, and it is constant, and it is eternal, all these things. This is the state of unborn. So, you have asked, what is the state of unborn? That it is eternal, it is partless, it is fearlessness, and then it is constant. All these things will come. So, that is to say, consciousness that has been unborn even before. See, the consciousness is not taking birth. What is taking birth? The body and mind, the subtle body. That is taking birth. But consciousness is not taking birth. This much we have to understand in Vedanta. Is it not? But to make us understand, again and again he raises the question. Why he has to tell so many times? Even Sri Krishna says, see, even if I say again and again, the ignorant people are not able to understand. To make them understand again and again, I am telling. In the same way, but here, no disciple is there. He is writing a book for himself. No opponent. So what is yes? He creates an opponent. And what all the questions that is possible for all the individuals, that they take from the opponent's mouth. This is the state of consciousness that is all. That is of the consciousness that is non-dual. Since even prior to the dawn of knowledge, see, he says, since even prior to the dawn of knowledge, that duality and birth were objects of perception to consciousness. So, if an individual says, I want to get the knowledge of the oneness, that means even before, even prior to the dawn of knowledge, the duality and birth were objects of perception to consciousness. Therefore, the birthlessness of consciousness that is unborn and that is all is always the same and absolute. So that's why he says, you have asked what is the nature of the birthlessness. He says, always the same and absolute, not that it becomes birthless sometimes and subject to birth some other times. It is always birthless only. The meaning is that it is ever unique. It is unique.
సంస్కృతంలో 4వ లైన్లో యస్మాత్ ప్రాగతి విజ్ఞానాత్ చిత్త దృశ్యం తద్ ద్వయం ఉండాలి. తదేమో హలత్ ప్రకారం. తద్ అద్వయం కాదు, తద్ ద్వయం.
తద్వయం జన్మచ. అచ్చా.
ప్రకారం హలంత్ ఉంటుంది.
Now, we'll go to subcommentary. Swami.
What is the Sanskrit word that is using for unique?
Unique. Sarvada ekarupa eva. Unique ekarupa he has told. The meaning is that it is ever unique. Ekarupa, yesterday we have discussed ekarasa, pragyana ghana. It is one homogeneous substance. Ekarasa. Unique. Now we are going to the sub-commentary. He says duality is illusion. Consciousness, which is eternal, whole, cannot have birth. So, the definition given is correct. That is, no adjectives, that is Nirguna and Advaita, Advaya. What is told is translated and with a desire to explain, he says Hetva Bhava. Even while superimposing the silver on the mother pearl, silver is not changing. Not silver, the mother pearl is not changing. Even while superimposing the silver on the mother pearl, it is not changing. Mother pearl is not changing. So, even birth is imagined on consciousness, but no change in it. As the mother pearl is not changing, so there is no silver. It is imagined. So, even if you say birth, birth is not there. It is imagined. So, negate the idea of birth. Now he says, you completely negate this idea of birth. I have born, I have to realize. Now I have not realized. I am the eternal consciousness, bliss absolute. Bas. It has been told, na jayate. It never takes birth. Sarvada, he says. Now he is going to the commentary. Paramartha darshanena nirasta dharma dharmakhya utpatti. So, from the absolute point, the virtues and vices are negated, which are the causes of the birth. Utpatti nimitta tasya animittasya chittasya. So, for the consciousness, there is no cause to take birth. It is consciousness only. Ya mokshakya anutpattihi. So, not that it is having a bondage and it is released. There is no bondage, no birth, nothing is there for it. Sa sarvada sarva avastha susama nirvishesha advaya cha. That is telling the perception of the Supreme Truth is constant and without distinction, always under all conditions. What has been told? You did hear. That's why I asked. He says, this is the state of unborn, that is to say of consciousness that had been unborn even before. And he says, it is constant, without distinction, always and under all conditions. It is sa sarvada sarva avastasu sama nirvishesha advayacha. It is constant, without distinction, always under all conditions. Purvamapi. Now he says, this is the state of consciousness that is all non-dual since even prior to the dawn of knowledge. That is going to tell. The Atman is not born. Even if you say it is realized, it is not born. Not only this much, but duality is not there. So no birth of Atman. That's why he says, sarvavastasu. Constant, without distinction, always under all conditions. Sarvavastasu means always in all conditions. Everything is the reflection. So the original is Brahman. Everything is reflection. What is the original? That is Brahman. Advayaha. He says, it is Advayaha. Then He is giving the reason why it is non-dual. He says, Purvapyajatasya anutpannasya chittasya sarvasya advayasya ityartha. Even prior to the dawn of knowledge, that duality and birth were objects of perception to consciousness. Therefore, that as rope snake, though we see the duality, in reality the duality is not there. Though as a rope snake or a snake on the rope we see, in reality duality is not there. It is only imagination. Birthlessness of consciousness, that is unborn and that is all, is always the same and absolute, not that it becomes birthless sometimes and subject to birth some other time. The meaning is that it is ever unique. Having realized this absence of duality, one is not born again for want of cause, is explained in detail. See, he says, when ignorance is not there, birth is not there. That is want of cause, is explained in detail. That means ignorance alone is the cause for birth and death, for attachment, everything, for desire. That is going to tell. Yathoktena nyayena janma nimittasya dvayasya abhavat. As we have told that the consciousness is constant without distinction in all conditions, so we decide depending on that logic. For duality, no birth at all. Why? It is constant and it is ever the same, that is why. The indicated meaning of the absence of duality is given as existing, the existence of the Atman is not having any beginning. The Atman it is not having any beginning. Why? He says the indicated meaning of the absence of duality. What is indicated? Atman is indicated, and it is not having a beginning, and it is infinite. And he says, Ananta. It is absolute. That has been decided. Again I am reading. The indicated meaning of the absence of duality is that the existence of the Atman has been told as it is not having any beginning and it is infinite absolute. That is decided. Now, it's all right, but you have told the birth of Devas, virtues and vices are observed to remove all the cause of worldliness. The wise get realization, again he will not get a birth. Why you have told all these things? Since, for the reasons already advanced, duality which is the cause of birth does not exist. Then the opponent is asking, you have told so many reasons, only something he catches, not the whole. That's why in the last verse, Consciousness is not created in the form of gods and the rest that represent the superior, medium, and inferior results. No effect is produced when there is no cause. This he has not taken into the mind. Hmm? And he says he have told virtue and vice, and godhood, and birth of a man, birth of beast, all these things he is told. Then he says, you see, we have already explained in our previous Karika that the Atman is not having any beginning and it is infinite and absolute. This we have already told. So, through the region of seeing, in the very second chapter, what he told? Jagradavastha mithya drishyatva swapnavat. So, drishyatva is seeing. That he reminds now. What he says? Through the region of seeing, duality is imaginary as rope snake or as a dream. Though this logic, through this logic, the consciousness takes birth and duality appears. The consciousness takes birth. How? Just as a snake is born on the rope. And duality appears because of ignorance. When that is not there, the ignorance, the beginningless absolute is realized. When that ignorance is not there, then the beginningless, what is? Atman, absolute Atman. That absolute is realized. For the birth of devas, only virtue. For the birth of human, it is only virtue and vice. And the vice for the animals is absent in the consciousness. Or because of ignorance they are observed. But he says it is only an appearance, it is not there. Buddhva nimittatam satyam hetum prudhak anapunvan vita shokam tatha kamam abhayam padamasnute. Having realized the truth that is uncaused and having abstained from obtaining any further cause, one attains the state of fearlessness that is devoid of grief and delusion. Having realized the truth that is uncaused, is not having any reason, having abstained from virtue and vice, obtaining any further cause. If you accept virtue and vice, again you have to take birth. So now further, one attains the state of fearlessness that is devoid of grief and delusion. So there is a footnote.
అది కారికలో బుద్ధ్వ నిమిత్తతాం ఉంది కదా, దాని మధ్యలో ఒక అవగ్రహ పెట్టారు. ఇక్కడ ఎక్కడ పెట్టలేదు.
Acha, animittata.
నిమిత్తతాం.
That is when cause is not there.
Uncaused.
Uncaused.
బుద్ధ్వ అనిమిత్తతాం.
Delusion, he says, the footnote he gives, it is the desire. Because of illusion, desire is there. Because of the delusion is there. So they are all almost same meaning that he is telling. Animittatam cha satyam paramartha rupam buddhva. When there is no ignorance, when he knows the absolute, hetum dharmadhikaranam devadiyoni praptaye prudhak anapnvan. So he never follows virtue or vice, which are the causes for taking the birth of devas and human beings, he will not. Anapunavan anupada, what is this?
Anupadat,
Anupadat,
anupadadana,
anupadadanas,
त्यक्तबाह्येषणः,
anupad, nahi.
Swami.
Huh?
Anupadadaनः.
Acha.
न उपाददानः इति अनुपाददानः.
Oh, actually, this word is no material cause. Upadana. Upadadana, why this? Oh, acha. Because negative meaning, anupadadana.
अनुपाददानः.
Not taking the absolute. So, it says, he will not be following virtue and vice. Number one. And that is the material cause he is not taking. Bahyeshanaha, tyakta bahyeshana. And he gives up putreshana, lokeshana, vitteshana. The desire for child, desire for money, desire for name and fame. Sanam kama sokadi varjitam avidya rahitam. So, the desires are the kama, is the cause for delusion. Now he has given up those things. Avidyade rahitam, so no ignorance. Abhayam padamastute. He realizes that the fearlessness state, punarna jayate. Again.
అక్కడ ఇత్యర్థ ఉంది, ఇత్యర్థ యకారం ఉండాలి.
Ityartha. It is not tha, it is ya. Ityartha. Having realized the uncaused truth of the nature of supreme reality, having withdrawn oneself from obtaining any further cause, having realized the uncaused truth without ignorance, nature of supreme reality, having withdrawn oneself from the obtaining any further cause, no virtue, no vice, virtue, etc., that leads to birth among the gods and others. In other words, having abandoned all longings for external objects, one attains the state of fearlessness, that is, devoid of delusion and grief, and that is free from ignorance, meaning one is not born again. So, the desire, which is the cause of birth, has been left. So, he will get the state of fearlessness, avidya.